we got real estate agents in the market, I think we should leverage all available resources. So basically, the next thing I wanted to really ask you about was how can we communicate effectively with agents now for the pre-listing inspections? And so I want to even go back to this one. I don't want to go back to that one for a second, but I want to stay on this one for a minute. So the question really, I guess the question I want to ask is, you guys have all probably talked to real estate agents about the pre-listing program, and some of them have been receptive. But of those who haven't been receptive, what are the reasons they don't want to participate? Anybody? John, you want to start off and say,
They
I
don't
mean,
want to they don't want to disclose anything, and
The
they don't want
same.
to and they don't want to pay for a pre-listing inspection. But the seller doesn't want to pay, and the seller's agent doesn't want to disclose.
okay. Anybody have anything different? That's been our experience.
Not really
Yeah, experience.
trying to, the agent, trying to let the agent know, the benefits of it. And someone's like, I don't want to have my client paying for it. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Mitchell, go ahead, Brad. We'll come to
I
Mitchell.
think
in
it's
just a
just
second.
I just think they're lazy. I mean, I agree with John 100%. Like those are the two main reasons that we get. We don't want to disclose and we don't want to pay for it. And it's just lazy, honestly. It's just bad business. They're not thinking the business side of it, I think. And if they would open their minds to it, then it's a great program. And I mean, I've got a few agents that totally buy into it now, especially they pay for it up front for their clients. So it's part of their listing package, I guess, right? And most of the buyers are coming in with waived inspection offers, just accepting our inspection. And there was one or two cases where, the buyers really wanted to get their own inspection done. And our agent, the seller's agent, knew that, if they did that, they're going to come back with repair negotiations and price reductions and whatnot. And he just said, hey, he called us up, said, hey, can you guys just come out, meet the clients, the buyers, and do a little consult? He's like, I'll pay for it, whatever it takes. I mean, so in that case, it cost him $500 plus, a consult fee. And, the price stayed up, the transaction went through, everybody's happy. And, so that's just like the perfect example of how this works so well.
Mitchell, what you got?
I'm from New York, and New York's got some really unusual real estate rules. It's all about ethics and about liability. Agents are trained to keep their sellers stupid. The less they know, the less information they can leak out and share. In New York, for 17 years, we had a non-disclosure program where a seller could give up $500 at the closing table, and they were absolved of all liability, of all knowledge about what's wrong with their home. That law, for the first time in 17, just changed 3 months ago, and now they have to fill out that document either way. But if you fill out that document, then you could be liable for the information that's on there. So the less the seller knows, the better off that all parties are, and they're trained to keep them stupid.
Yeah.
So I bring it back to ethics.
Yeah. Okay, so it's back to ethics. Okay, so that's really interesting, Mitchell. I mean, who in the heck is a home buyer would waive their liability for $500? I mean,
It was required.
Oh,
It was
wow.
the seller gave up $500 at the closing table, and they were completely absolved of all liability to the condition of the home. And there's not a lawyer. We use lawyers here in New York, and there's not a lawyer that would take on a client unless they signed that document at that time. But that law just recently got reversed after 17 years.
Yeah, wow. Because, even in California and other places, they ruled that if you get the pre-inspection agreement signed on the driveway at the time of the inspection, the document wasn't valid because the
Correct.
client had no time to review
Had no
it.
time to. You're
So
100% correct. That's right.
that's pretty unusual that a state like New York would have that kind of law. So I think the question is that you've all tried to, I say we're not in the convincing business. I'm not in the convincing business. I'll share with you what I got. And if you were a buyer, perfect. If you're not a buyer of that information, see you later. So I guess the question is, we've been hearing it from the very beginning. I mean, is there any age difference of individual agents that are more receptive? In other words, are younger agents more receptive to the message as opposed to older agents, or do you find it's a mix of both? What's your experience on that? John, we'll start with you because you're at the top of my screen, bro.
I'm sorry, I was typing a chat here. What was the
Yeah, no, I
question?
was just trying to figure out, of those that have done pre-listing inspections, were the agents younger or older or a mix?
I would say it's a mix. I don't think there's anything special that stuck out with me.
Are
But
there any young agents at all in your area, or is everybody old?
no, there's a good mix. There's a good mix. The ones that work with me tend to be the older ones, that I've known for years. I did a presentation at a Keller Williams office one time, and it was during one of their big things where they had Keller Williams agents in from all around, and apparently it's in one of the Keller books. He recommends doing pre-listing inspections. And the speaker said that, you know, all of you in this room should be doing pre-listing inspections, and it didn't take though.
Yeah. Well, the reason why Gary Keller wrote that in his book was because Gary Keller is a business person.
Right.
And he understands that you're going to spend your time and effort. I'm going to call those resources, so your money, your time, your effort, trying to promote a listing that can't be sold because of these problems that exist where you could have solved it sooner. And your commission is still predicated on the price of the sale. So if the sale price is up, you make more money. Where's the down to this?
Yeah.
So
What I find
agents
with the
sometimes aren't
pre-listing
that smart.
inspections, I'm not certain if everybody feels this way, but a lot of the pre-listing inspections I do are homeowners that took real good care of their homes, that just they want to hear what a good job they did. You know what I mean? They're not looking for a problem. They're looking for me to find little problems because they think they've done a wonderful job.
So they still pay you, right?
No, they still pay me.
So listen, I can hug and kiss for green. I have to tell you, John, on that story, and I know you've heard it because you've been hanging around me since I started all this, but I had the first pre-listing inspection I ever did. I was like, all excited about telling them all these things that, happened and what needs to happen and all this. And the lady just broke down and cried right there on me. And I'm like, holy smoke. And I said, what are you crying about? She said, I'm so upset about this. All of these things are wrong with my house. And I'm like, okay. So I learned a very valuable lesson from that. Let's go ahead and set expectations of what this is and isn't on the driveway before we launch off. But I have always been a delicate inspector on pre-enlisting inspections. After that, that was horrible. The inspector made me cry. That wasn't the kind of review I was looking for. Oh, this is a great program. The guy came out, I was bawling after 10 minutes. I'm like, excuse me, oh my. So we didn't go that way. How about in your area now? Do you think is it a mix of the younger agents more hip to the program, or is it older, or is it kind of a mix for you?
You talking to me?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, I was distracted because my phone just beat.
Yeah.
For us, it's the young agents.
The young ones are the more
yeah.
inclined to do it.
This young people that really are just eager to just make the money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's the younger agents.
Okay. Now, DeAnthony, how about in your market, those that you've talked to and are inclined to agree to something like this? Is it younger or older, or you just hadn't had any success with them at all? They're all stubborn.
It's been a mixed bag, man. The ones I get, it just varies. Some of the agents I partner with the view, there's a line there, and I think usually when those agents are being through the longest, if they have a house that they know is a problem, they usually call me to previous inspection so they can know how much of the problem they have. So I think sometimes they use that to set the expectation for the seller. If they know the house has got a lot of potential issues. So those are the ones, and it's been both younger and older agents. So usually I get them when And you know, it's a potential issue, some issue that's gonna come up in the house, but they just wanna be, you know, to give it, let the sellers know from a professional perspective and kind of set the expectation for them before it gets.
Okay. And Brandon, how about you, younger agents, older?
I would probably say it's a little bit of a mix, but probably leans a little bit more towards the younger side. Trying to make a name for themselves, trying to, give a different approach, maybe set themselves apart from, other agents. One that we did, this has probably been several months ago, maybe it was last year, I don't remember, but it's an agent we do a lot of buyer inspections for, but he had a listing. We inspected for the seller to buy their move-up house, but they were contingent on the sale of their own house, and they had a buyer for it. And this is back when things were really kind of slowed down. A lot of people got nervous. Rates were still on the way up, but they were pretty high, and the buyers backed out of their house. They said it was because of the inspection. No one really knows. It probably wasn't. And so in this case, though, the buyer still had an out. And we tell agents all the time, the biggest deal killer is a surprise. And so that's one of the things that we tell them is, because if we're still on this topic of, how do we effectively communicate, it's, we're going to mitigate any surprises that may come about. That way it has a better chance of that deal staying together rather than backing out. So ultimately we went and did the inspection. New buyers came in, accepted our inspection, bought that house so that the sellers could go buy their other house that we inspected already, and everybody was happy. So that's just I like to use these examples when I'm talking to people about it, just because it gives them these different situational things that help them understand, this is why this would be a good reason to do it.
The best salespeople are storytellers. If you
Right.
can share a story that's relatable to others, then the fact of the matter is you can close the deal 9 times out of 10, whether you're doing it on a website or whether you're doing it wherever. That's why case studies and reviews are so critical in the success of home inspectors. Now, Mitchell, you're obviously, because of that law for 17 years, this program wasn't that viable. But now that that law's gone, do you see that the program could be viable in your market? I mean,
Well,
what are your thoughts on that?
it's interesting. When that law changed, we were given 4 or 5 months notice, and I actually invested a bunch of money in marketing pre-listing inspections because I used to do them regularly. I did that as a service for my regular agents that referred business to me for their listings. I would go out and and look at a property with them on behalf of the seller, and to be frank with you, no, it did not pay off. And once again, they still have to fill out the form. The form is still there, but now they have to fill it out. Okay. And the form is worded in a way that stipulate it's to the best of your knowledge. And as long as that states that, it's really not a law. It's too soft.
Mhm.
Really nothing changed other than the $500 transfer of asset. So to the best of their knowledge, the homeowner does not know anything's wrong, but they have to check everything off. That's the difference. I don't
Right.
know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So
Yeah. Well, we have
did
that
not
in a
change.
lot of states too. And I will tell you, failure to disclose lawsuits have still come from that, because what happens is people will go back and subpoena records of plumbing companies or roofing companies or whatever it happens to be. And they do get judgments on that all the time. So at least you've gotten some leverage. I think it's more of a mindset thing where your market is right now.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
kind of.
ethics. It's ethics.
Yeah, kind of crazy, isn't it? I think Setzer Burnett will clear out a bunch of the crowd in your market as well coming up. It's happening now. You're really going to start to see it accelerate as we go forward. I want to follow up on this question for a minute. I want to see if you think this is true or not, because when we craft marketing materials for the program, it's important to have your feedback. So one of the groups, I think if it's one of the groups that recommends pre-listing inspections, from my looking at it from Countrywide in my own home inspection company, was those that would you consider business people? Okay, so if you were a business person and you understand return on investment, you're more inclined to recommend a pre-listing inspection. I mean, I had them older, like Giselle said, that would not take a listing without that, but they were business people in their first life.
Yeah.
Okay, so they understood ROI, return on investment. Okay, so would the one think about the ones that you have dealt with that are younger or older, and do you think that they were business people in their first life and that's why they think this makes sense?
I think that for them, for the younger, they're just eager to, make the most of, what they're selling. The others are just like business people that, don't want anything to get in the way. No contingency because of another inspector coming in. It's there, bring your own inspector if you want, but this is what it is.
Hmm.
I, I'm
That's
gonna,
been
I
my
want,
experience in some ways.
I want to respond to that if I may. Um, in real estate, and I'm only going to talk about my market because I'm very analytical. I study the numbers quite aggressively. 95% of the work is done by 5% of the population. Okay, in real estate, and that's pretty common nationwide, but it's certainly heavy in this market. It might even be like a 97.3. With that stated, the 3% of those people doing the volume, okay, are your more full-time players, the people that do it
Thank
as
you.
a business. The other 97% do it as a hobby.
Hmm.
So those people are not business people. Those people are doing it for the extra change so they can make their Mercedes-Benz payment because they all show up with that Mercedes-Benz at the inspections. So they can go on their vacation. That's what they do it for. No other reason. It's fun money. So I can't disagree with you. I think that the people that are truly vested in the industry and understand the analytics of the industry would be more inclined. They're not doing it here, but I could see that they might be.
Okay. And how about Brandon? And we're gonna come on and work you guys. What do you think? The people that are doing them with you now, were they some business person, some had business experience in their first life before they got into real estate biz?
I would say some of them, yeah. I've got a few that come to mind, but that definitely did have a different career and a different life. But I mean, I think I want to respond now to Mitchell because I 100% agree that you know the professional agents that focus on the service of their clients, those are the ones that really buy into this. And I think that the whole reason that we're in the position that we are with the Sitzer Burnett case is that the client in a lot of cases for many years has been forgotten. And it has been all about chasing the money versus, serving the customer. And so I think the result of the case itself now is going to start to, like you're saying, can weed out some of these part-time agents, the non-professionals. I'm very excited to see that happen because then we get to actually begin to work with true professionals that care about the customer, as we do, because they're going to be the ones that say, hey, don't use the cheap guy, you know, upgrade to the additional services, get the sewer scopes, those are the guys that truly want the best for their client. And so that's what I'm excited to see is things change over the next, 8 to 12 months is my guess is let's weed out the non-professional agents so that we can truly start serving our people.
And that brings up a whole nother set of questions that I'm going to come back to because let's just say today, and we just throw the gauntlet down for as a marker for today, as the buyer's agents that can't or won't extract that agreement with the home buyer about you pay my commission for whatever reason. When those people go away, then we're left with round two, some of buyer's agents that are more professional, okay, and may be able to get that. But then we're stuck into a whole different scenario and what happens in the market disruption from here.
Yeah.
And I want to get to that in a minute, but I want to get back to this for just a second. So, DeAnthony and John, did y'all have any different experience about this? In other words, the person you dealt with were business people, the ones that were more interested in the program.
No, I think the more experienced agents are the ones that were the ones saying, we don't want to disclose anything.
So they commission hose.
Yeah.
I got them. I know the commission hose. We
Yeah.
had them all our whole life too. I know them. Now, DeAnthony, how about yourself? Those that did it, you think they were more business oriented in their first life than they actually worked for a company and knew it or owned another company?
You mean as far as the pre-listing program?
Yeah, if they were going to recommend pre-listing inspections, were the ones that actually were engaged in it, were they business oriented before they came to the real estate biz?
These are usually ones that, they were professional and they're full-time, agents, real estate. Those are the ones that, because they understand the value. And so they present that value to their clients. So typically the ones that do get the pre-listing, they were professional and real estate is their business. It's how they, eat.
I think that from my own experience, and we did over 35,000 home inspections before I sold it. The fact of the matter is the people that did pre-listing inspections were those that had business experience before they came, or they understand the aspect of bringing value to their home seller that others weren't bringing, because they would go in and pitch them. You can sell your home for quicker with less hassle for more money. And let me tell you how. It's only $350 or $400. The home buyer's like, man, in the scheme of things, this is nothing. Home seller, let's do it. So they were either business experience before they came, or they understood the value of what they bring that other agents weren't bringing. So that's kind of been my own experience. But when we produce marketing materials for the new era, we have to understand who is our target audience. So we're not going to be going after the commission hose. I think those are on both sides, the buyer's agent side and the listing agent side. So those are only interested in the commission, could care less about the customer, close the sale, don't worry about it. I got them on to the next commish. It'll be determined whether they make it or don't make it. Let's talk about this one, because I think this is where we're going to get into some other interesting things. How can home inspectors partner with forward-thinking real estate agents who support pre-listing inspections? So I know that we do what we do now, okay? And I'm very familiar with the program. I created our own program and we've taught it for years. The question I really want to think is further, more in depth in this. So Giselle has got these agents that she's doing these pre-listing inspections with. Okay, how is it you could strengthen your relationship with them to help them get more pre-listing inspections for you? I mean, let's think about this. Here's just an example. Could you do a video together?
Video, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, with one of the agents, we talked about doing a podcast video.
Okay.
Mhm.
Now, our fancy staff calls that a vodcast. So I just call it a podcast with a video. But no, listen, I've already been corrected on our own team because we do them. We have a podcast, we have the whole thing, and it's a vodcast. So anyway, but no, I think that's a great idea. We're really talking about education-based marketing is really what we're talking about. So any other ideas that you might have had on that? I love that.
No, that's one of the ideas that, doing video podcast.
Here's one that we've done, and it's just another, strategy that you've taught for many years, Ken, and we use it with our home, buyer's agents, is the endorsement campaign. And so we've got an agent, we've done he really kind of bought into this pre-listing inspection. I'd probably say, I don't know, 8 to 12 months ago. We've done dozens of them for him now that we've gotten to this point. And so I asked him, hey, do you want to just share your experience with us, specifically working with your sellers and doing pre-listing inspections? So he gave us a little testimonial. We put his face on a card, got a little 3-card campaign that goes out, and we've targeted some of the top agents, listing agents. I've said this many times, we're a small market. We don't have a lot of I don't know, we've got really the majority, kind of like Mitchell was saying, 3% of the agents do 90% of the work, right? So, so we've targeted some of those top agents that do a lot of the listings. We're probably due to do some more follow-up on that. But just another endorsement campaign. It's nothing fancy about it.
Mm-hmm. So let's think about this. And I have a face for radio, but I love the video concept. Been doing them a long time. And how about if you pitched what's in it for a home buyer on video, and your partner agents could take that and show it to their clients. And you included a case study of how it helped others, Brandon, like you were talking about earlier. So you, as the home inspector, did a video really going through a couple of case studies about how it helped other sellers achieve their dream, both in higher prices and no renegotiation, how they got estimates from qualified contractors in advance when issues were found, and how it made the sale smooth, and how few other people then brought a home buyer's inspector. What do you guys think about that? And then the agent shows it to the client when he's pitching that service.
Yeah.
Takes his tablet out and they just watch it right there together.
Yeah, I mean, there's always that kind of listing appointment they talk about, right? Where they're going. I mean, it's kind of an interview for a lot of them. So I think that's another great way to do it. I mean, you can even produce a little flyer, that they can present to them right there on the spot as well to go along with the video. Some of our agents pay for the inspection themselves up front. Some of them, and that's where it's a little harder. I mean, almost all of them, you talk to them and you say all the reasons why you should do a pre-listing inspection, but most of them will say, hey, that's a great idea. I just can't afford it, but I'll try to talk my sellers into it. And they never do. They don't really, I guess I should say, they don't give it the real good, conversation that it deserves. But I think that's a great way to do it.
I think so. You just nailed an objection. You've heard this objection.
Oh, yeah.
I really can't afford it. But really, what happens is what that really means is they don't see what's in it for them specifically to plunk down their funds. Because when you think about a $300,000 home and you do the math on it, 6% commission, they get 50%. Now they split with their broker, and I get it. Yeah, fundamentally drill it down. They got several $1,000s there.
Yeah.
So, and the listing agent the same way. So why wouldn't the listing agent say, I'm going to take $300 of my money? Or why wouldn't the listing agent be smart and say, hey, here's the story. Here's what I'd like to do. I want you to pay for it. And here's what's going to happen is if your home doesn't sell within this time for less hassle and for more money than what we're requesting, I'll reimburse you for that fee. So there's all kinds of ways to do it. But when people throw up an objection, I don't know if I can't afford it, that just means they don't understand really what's in it for them to plunk down their money. Yeah. So when you hear that in the sales situation, you need to reverse. Where do you hear it mostly? I need to talk to my husband before I book, or I need to talk to my wife before I book the home inspection. You know what that means? They're not sold.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we can read these objections and then try to rework back, for instance, and I'm coming to you, this was just a second, but the question I would ask the agent, help me understand how a $400 investment in the sale of your listing with less money, less hassle, and sold quicker isn't worth it. I mean, I'm searching for information only. And then let them talk to you, and then shut up and let them talk to you. Because what they're going to do is they're going to say, well, that doesn't make sense. So then I'd say, well, what happens is when I hear this kind of, statement, I always wonder if I didn't explain the program very well. And I just have a conversation with them. And pretty quickly they're like, this makes sense completely. Or they think this is nonsense. It's like, why wouldn't you get a radon test on your own home? You're going to breathe toxic gas? Like, what are you, an idiot? Maybe you should not get a radon test. Maybe you should croak because you're a silly idiot. Yeah. So, but when you hear those things, whether it's on a home inspection call or whether it's someplace else, when you're out there, you have got to recognize that's an objection and then understand in advance how you're going to deal with it. So that, because otherwise you can't be an effective salesperson. Mitchell, tell me what you got.
I did come on to the call a little bit late, and I hope that I'm not bringing something up that may have been addressed, and I apologize if I did. My question would be, and maybe you want to survey the people on the call. Should there be a difference in price between a pre-listing inspection and a regular inspection? That's we're talking about marketing pre-listing inspections, which I'm a huge advocate of it. I think it's should double our business. I think every home sold should have a pre-inspection and a post-inspection. It should be done by the seller and the buyer. It would change the industry overnight. But the question I have is, going out and doing a pre-inspection on someone's home, do you charge the same fee that you would for a regular inspection?
I think most everybody here does that now, whether that's the right thing or not the right thing. I'd say they probably do it now, charge the same fee.
Which I think they should. And I'm just curious if people are discounting that because they feel that's a way to get that business, which is really not the appropriate way to sell. You don't want to discount your value. You want to show your value.
Right.
I'm just curious what people are doing.
If the agents, you think it's a good idea to maybe discount for your agents if they're paying?
I have trouble. I can't hear.
Is it a good idea to discount it slightly for your agents if they're paying for the premium?
I wouldn't discount it for anyone, because are they going to discount their commission?
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I do. I mean, so here's the thing. What we do is sell value. I mean, and as long as we're bringing tremendous value, I mean, if you get I mean, they're getting a 10x or more return, way more than 10x return on our little inspection fee. So I'm kind of like, nah, I'm opposed to giving monetary discounts of any type. I would rather give discounts on ancillary services that you might not purchase otherwise. But I'm not really a big fan of, discounting our services or base fees. But I want to come back to that because we have a couple of other questions that are really important for us. So let's think about what else we could do with our partners. Could we promote them in some other way? Can we do joint ventures? Could we do social media with them? How about this? How about when they sold a home that you pre-listed, you got on social media and raved about them, or you guys did an interview together that you could put on a video platform of why that house sold, so others could see it? Because who else is going to see it? Everybody that's on your social media network that may or may not be buying a home or selling a home at this moment, right? So really, aren't we planting seeds? Okay. How about how about doing an interview with them on why they recommended and put it on your blog so that others see it? How about not making them, how about having a agent, a section that says successful agents do these things and have them on there? I mean, what other ways could we promote it? So that's the thing. I think when buyers agents go away, are you guys going to be in a position to recommend agents to others? I mean, there's no buyer's agents you're getting business from now. I mean, you're reluctant to do it now because you got buyer's agents, right? But let's say they go away. Now, can we make referrals to seller's agents who are doing the things that we want? I think it's a whole new ball game. I mean, I think it's a whole new ball game once they get out of here. Okay, so I want you to start thinking, what is it we can do to help the agents that are really helping us with the program? Not lower the price. Don't do that ever. But I think what happens is, what can we do to help them get more of those sales? Because when they get more of the sales, it helps us. Okay, so I think that's a big thing. Then we're going to get into a couple of other things. Anybody else have any ideas about that? Obviously, we can do flyers. We could do I like, when we used to do these first time homebuyer seminars and everybody slept out to a banquet room in a hotel, and it was unpredictable about how many people would show or not show, and this, that, and the other. One day, Beth and I, we were doing one in Woodstock, I think it was, for you guys that live in Atlanta. And we were there, and about 3 people, it was a rainy night, and everybody was there. And so about 3 people showed up. And I said to Beth, said, "What are you gonna do?" I said, I want you to pull out that video camera I brought. I want you to go back in the room, and I'm going to tape the Ken Compton pre-listing show right here. Okay. And guess what I did? All right. And then I used that to show home inspectors in the future how you can do this thing. But now I'm a big fan of Zoom meetings. And one of the things COVID did was got more people familiar with Zoom than ever before. And Zoom really has some great tools now. Okay, why couldn't you work with those buyers? Let's say the listing agent has 6 buyers, the properties are sitting. Why couldn't you guys do a mini workshop for them on the value of pre-listing inspections and tell case studies about what it's done for your clients that maybe weren't associated with that agent? You don't have to schlep out anywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your cost? 0, your time. But when you start saying to the agents, let me help you provide more value for your service, and in return, we get more business. This is a win-win. Okay, so I think we should really say I think I would ask them, how can I help you get more business through pre-listing inspections? And I would recommend some things. Could we do some videos? Could we do this? Could they put your video on their website of talking about this and doing some case studies? And you know what happens is now you've extended your reach because you have a video on their website, and those people would have never known about you unless they watched that website. So you've extended your reach tremendously. What if you had 7 agents in your community that did it?
It's a little.
Okay, so that's a big thing. There's lots of ways here that we can leverage this to get more. So another thing I want you to think about is post Sitzer Burnett, as a lot of the buyer's agents move away, and this is where I want to talk about this for a minute, but I don't want to dwell on it. It's uncertain the next iteration of the market disruption. And when I say that, let's just say that if you believe the predictions, 60 to 80% of existing buyers agents are going away. Okay, and just think about it on a lower number. They're going away immediately. Okay, so then who's going to pick up those services, whatever those services were, that the buyer's agents were providing to the buyer? Is that going to fall on a listing agent? And then there's the big legal issue about dual agency. Okay, that's a nightmare. Okay, but let's say this: if only the most professional listing agents are left and a big portion of the buyer's agents are gone, would those people that are left, the agents that are left, be more amenable to getting that property sold and adding pre-listing as a competitive advantage to their tool bag?
I think so. Are you talking about sellers agents?
Sellers agents, because the buyer's agent's going to say ta-ta.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I think so. In fact, I was having a conversation with a broker a week or 2 ago who really thinks there's a big shift here, a lot more so than some of the other brokers in town. And he actually even said that he thinks that buyers agents will probably have to do more of that kind of marketing and selling more services in terms of, like, for example, a listing agent is going to pay for staging or photos, right? Out of pocket. Potentially a buyer's agent, and I know this isn't the topic, but a buyer's agent may offer to pay for an inspection as well.
That'll never happen.
You don't think so?
That may be considered collusion if they do.
No, potentially. Just an idea that came out, but
there's no telling where we're going. I mean, so I said this, Mitchell, to
It may
the
not be
guys
legal. Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago. Let's say this. Let's say Brandon goes in a post Sitzer Burnett and says to the listing agent, to the home seller, you no longer have to pay the buyer's commission. And oh, by the way, my commission is negotiable. Okay, and I need you to sign off saying that I explained this to you. So the home buyer, seller asks a few questions and says, great, I'm going to pay only 3% because you're no longer splitting that commission with the buyer's agents. So Brandon said, okay, I can take it. I'll take it. So they come in number 2. So now what happens is Dill goes in for a presentation and he does another professional presentation. And guess what? He says he'll take it for 2%. Okay, then what happens? Beth goes in and does a great professional presentation. She said, I'll take it for 1%. And I come in behind him, and I am a flat fee broker, and I said, I'll take it for $539. Okay, then what? So we have no idea where we are today. We're sitting here today where we're going to be in 12 months.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, anytime profits can be made, others move in. And I mean, Zillow, you can already go and show an empty house, just get a code from them, and so are the other big ones. I mean, we are in a market disruption. Okay, so we're in the beginnings of it. So who knows what's going to happen? But if it was me, I would be talking to people that own flat fee real estate agencies. I would be talking to those listing agents today that might be amenable to the program and say, hey, this, if buyer's agents are going away and you're going to have to market the business. See, when Beth sold the real estate, guess what? They actually sold real estate. They looked up the listings and found them for the client and did all that stuff. How novel of an approach. You know what they do now? They follow the idiom in the real estate business. You don't list, you don't last. Because if you just list it, somebody else will sell it. But this is what home sellers are upset about. I'm paying you these massive dollars, and what are you doing for me? Okay, they're not going to keep doing it. And I saw $3 trillion could come out of the real estate economy because home sellers ain't going to be doing that no more. Okay, it may take a minute for it to happen, but I would be identifying everybody I could and then thinking how I can partner with them.
Yeah.
That's what I do. I mean, it's not the rifle approach, it's the shotgun approach. You got to get got a BBs out there before you get somebody. But I be having these discussions because honest brokers, Brandon, like the one you're talking to, realizes where we're going. And he's excited about it.
Oh, he is. He's very excited.
Yeah. Because he wants to push the dead wood out.
Yeah.
So do a lot of other brokers. So do a lot of other brokers. Now, the brokers are saying today there's really going to be no change. Those people are delusional and they just don't want their staff to leave. Okay, but that's the only thing they have because the federal law applies to them. The new rules that went in August 17th apply to them just like they do everyone else. So that's interesting. Okay, anybody else just think through it. Any
One of the
questions?
things that I've been wondering is if there's an angle to market this as in this market where the inventory is so bad up here in Connecticut, if there's a way to market this as a reduction of liability. When everybody's waiving inspections, this is a way to help protect the seller's agent from the buyer coming back and suing.
I would sell it that way. Honestly, John, I mean, that really is when you think about it. The seller has not escaped liability. And where you are, John, do they still have to fill out a seller's disclosure statement?
Yeah, but it's like what Mitchell was saying. It's a joke.
They're all that way.
Unknown. And honestly, the last half a dozen houses I've inspected have been vacant. They're like estates, and there's separate rules for estates.
You're excluded. Yeah.
If you didn't live in the house, no disclosures needed.
Right.
That's legitimate. I mean, that's fair. I mean, you didn't live there. You got no clue. So that's it. So that's that. Okay, but I would mark it as a liability reduction. It's a liability reduction.
It is.
I mean, a huge liability reduction. And agents have gotten sued by the boatloads across the US for they're an experienced agent. They see this has this, or this, and they've just encouraged the seller not to do it, to disclose it. When it comes out in court, oh, the agent told me not to disclose it. That's why I didn't. And boom, they're sued. So I would sell it as a liability lessener, if you will, for a lack of better terms, a reduction of liability on the agent's behalf. I mean, and when you're talking about the dollars the homes are selling for in your market, my gosh. I mean, it's like Mitchell, some of those only maybe because New York has different boroughs, where you don't have that. You got the richy rich and the richy rich. Only degree of richer.
One of those towns tomorrow morning. I'm doing a 7,000 square foot house tomorrow morning.
Yeah. And John, just out of curiosity, what's the sales price on it?
3.9.
Whew. That's where Brandon lives. Oh, $3,900. Sorry, Brandon. I thought that's what he meant. That's what Brandon charged. I'm telling you, that's huge. That's huge. I'm kidding you guys. Okay.